Hundreds of people died, thousands of homes and businesses were destroyed.
It happened 100 years ago. We're talking about the Great Dayton Flood, and our Rhonda Moore is live in Dayton to show us the new 1913 flood exhibit at Carillon Park. Good morning, Rhonda.
Good morning. Well, this exhibit opened on Saturday, and joining me now is Brady Kress, and he is the president of Dayton History, and we're sitting in a boat here. Tell me about this.
Yes, this is a reproduction flood boat. There were over 200 of them made by NCR right at the beginning of the flood. Patterson came back after seeing the flood waters and said, "We are no longer NCR, we are now the Dayton Relief Committee," and immediately set his staff to start building boats like this and then sending employees of NCR out into the waters to rescue people from their homes.
Well, this exhibit is really neat, and I know you also show like pictures of people who kind of made a difference during the flood.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, we have Chambers, Mr. Chambers, David Chambers, who rescued 150 people in his own boat, went out and tragically was hit by a piece of debris in the water. The boat capsized, and he ended up in the water and drowned, leaving his wife and three young daughters after saving so many in the flood.
And what's behind you right here in this glass case?
We also have some items that are related to the fire department and police department and their efforts to rescue people and save people, and after the flood to maintain this order in the city in all of this chaos.
All right, and quickly I want to show the dog that you have up on the roof, and what is that?
Yeah, you know, as the waters receded, many things were left on people's second floors and roofs. One of those were animals. So horses and dogs, when the waters were high, were trying to find anything to jump onto. And when the waters receded again, you have this problem. What do you do with these dogs and horses that are up on your roof? And
well, this exhibit is really neat and very educational, and the Great 1913 Flood exhibit, it's permanently on display here at Carillon Park. Now you can come check it out Monday through Saturday from 9:30 a.m. until 5 p.m. and then on Sundays from noon until 5 p.m. And we'll be back around 8:06 to show you more of the exhibit. Back to you.
It's the greatest natural disaster history in Ohio history.
Yeah, and we just heard from the gentleman who wrote the book about the 1913 Great Dayton Flood. Our Rhonda Moore live at Carillon Park. It's where you can learn all about the flood at a permanent exhibit.
Good morning. Right now we are in the attic exhibit, and Brady Kress is the president of Dayton History. And talk to me a little bit about what we have here.
Yeah, we have a reconstructed attic space. You know, in the 1913 flood, the waters were rising, and people had to make a decision to get up to the second floor. And if the second floor was flooding, which it was in many areas of the city, you had to go up to the attic. So we created this scenario, and people were faced with living for 3 to 4 days in their attic space. We have a couple letters of people that actually spent days in the attic space, and we wanted to give the people that our guests that realization that, boy, the water is below you and it's coming up below the stairs.
And quickly, I want to just kind of listen to the effects here. That's kind of neat how you can hear the water and all of that.
Right.
And we want to go in here real quick and show something else. This is another, like a map.
Well, after the flood, NCR put this map together to show citizens just how widespread the water was. And you're talking about 4 trillion gallons of water coming through the middle of downtown.
Right, and the blue represents where the water actually went through the city. Then over here quickly, this is just a wedding dress that someone was going to get married. But
well, like so many of the stories that we have here, this is one where she made this handmade wedding dress, was supposed to wear it on her wedding day, and that was the day of the flood, so she never got to wear it.
All right, well, there's a lot here to see, and the Great 1913 flood exhibit is permanently on display here at Carillon Park. You can come check it out Monday through Saturday from 9:30 until 5, and on Sundays from noon until 5 p.m. And we'll have more coming up at 8:50. Back to you.
That's so neat. Carillon Park, such a great place anyway, so historical.
Amazing to see that, and then just to remember that this was 100 years ago this time around. Now we have snow, so.
I know, right? Gotta love the weather.
3 storms and heavy rain back-to-back caused levees to fail.
It was 100 years ago, the Great Dayton Flood of 1913. Rhonda Moore tells us you can get the timeline of everything that happened that fateful week. She's live at Carillon Park.
Good morning. Back in 1913, all of this area, which is now Carillon Park, was underwater. This is Brady Kress. He's the president of Dayton History. And what does this blue line on the building mean?
That blue line represents 18 feet 2 inches, which was the water level through this area next to the Miami River and Miami Erie Canal.
All right, so now we want to go back inside and show more of the exhibit. And what is this big contraption I call?
This is the Rubicon Engine. It was built in 1909, delivered to NCR, and was used around the workyard there. But right after the flood, they took it downtown and used it to clean up the streets. And so it was part of a whole effort to get Dayton back on track and to clean up the streets. And within 8 weeks of the flood occurring, they were able to all gather, have most of the streets cleaned up, and gather to raise $2 million as part of a massive campaign to fund a study to make sure that this would never happen to Dayton again. And with private dollars, this isn't a day. This is
$2 million was a lot of money.
It was a lot of money, and it was two things to remember. One, there was no federal relief that came to Dayton. People in Dayton took care of this themselves, and of course that's in a day before income tax, so they had a little extra cash privately to fund this project. So they were able to raise that money in two months, and now those dams protect us to this day.
All right, and that's.
And that runs Monday through Saturday, 9:30 to 5, Sunday, 12 to 5. And again, it's a permanent exhibit, so really you can go check it out anytime. And our thanks to Rhonda for that report.
Can't wait to check that out.